So what are we now? It felt like it's been
This is 10.
forever. This is episode. That's right, because this is our 10th episode. Well, welcome, guys. I know it has been a hot minute, and we didn't ghost you. It wasn't a bad Tinder date. Um, life, life has actually been the bad Tinder date. If I'm going to be honest with you,
That's the truth.
It's been rough. It's been a rough couple of months. It's been crazy, super busy, lots of changes. Just a lot going on all the time. I feel like for you as well, but just work and family and business and everything under the sun.
It definitely is. How are the new digs? This is the first podcast with I've never seen your place.
Yeah. So yeah, I now that I have it, organized and so forth, I'll show you. But no, the place is fantastic. The community is gorgeous. I love the apartment. It's like a townhome, so the way it actually works is that unlike a traditional apartment where we have like a big shared stairway, we don't. We have our own front door and we have an attached garage. When you come in the front door or the door in the garage, you come into like this like coat rack shoe room, kind of small little cubby area, foyer, and then there's a straight stairway up that goes to the main floor. That's like an open floor plan, so it's like a kitchen, living room, got a fireplace, and then on either sides of the kitchen is going to be my office and the master. So it's a nice place. I mean, we went down a bedroom, but that's not a big deal because we have this little cubby nook area for the Mrs. Computer. Fits in there fantastic, and all her stuff fits in that little nook just fine. So it really wasn't a downfall.
Is it in the same room?
No, it's like in between the kitchen and the living room. I'll send a picture to you sometime.
Yeah. Really.
But no, the apartment's great because I was really skeptical to make this move. I was actually extraordinarily stressed out about it and shot myself in the foot on a couple of occasions, frivolously spending and doing stupid stuff in panic because I was like, oh, I'm moving. I don't want to move. For those who maybe knew, or if you do know me, then you know that I do not like change. That I would die in the same four walls if that's what it meant to not move. So, yeah, so the new place is great. I don't want to like drown on about, but it's nice. It's beautiful. I mean, I have like 8 or 9 foot vaulted ceilings. I can't easily show you, but I mean, I could stand on top of me and still probably reach up and touch my ceiling. You know what I mean? So, yeah, and the whole unit's like that. The attached garage is huge. It's the full length of the unit, so I can get my SUV in there, and then behind that I have an entire area for the motorcycle, like my little fancy, my personal paddock. For those who know, paddock is like what they call areas where horses get prepped, but motorcycles have the same thing.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's nice. I like it, and the area is very nice. I don't like Denver. Sorry if you live in Denver. Denver's kind of a shithole. So again, sorry if you live in Denver. But we're on such the outskirts of Broomfield, which isn't even close to Denver. We're like in between Broomfield and Boulder, but we're still Broomfield. So like, there's nothing out here. It's like my door and then empty fields and mountains. It's fantastic. So the move was it was crappy, but the place was worth it through all the horrorness we went through.
Do you find that like even though you don't like change, once the change is done and the dust settles and everything kind of gets back to a routine, then you're all right and everything's good again?
Sometimes it just depends. Like this was a scenario where if I could go back and see what I know now, and hindsight's always 2020, but if I can go back to what I know now, I would have had a completely different mindset up to the move. I would have been way less sporadic and crazy and trying to like cram in all this time with my friends and going out with friends and spending all this money and all this crazy stuff, thinking that I was going to be moving to some inner city Broomfield apartment, and it was going to be rough. But it ended up, I regret ever having a negative thought about it. But no, most of the time, change not for me. Because like if I know when I do engage in change for whatever reason, typically it's like well planned and I know what I'm getting into, and you know what I mean. And This was planned, but it was a little unknown at the same time, and not entirely an optional thing. You know what I mean? So,
I get it.
But yeah, it's nice.
I'm completely the opposite. I love change. If if you see what I do to my PCs, and we can talk about that.
That's different though.
I'm always, yeah, but moving is in that wheelhouse for me. Like right now, um, and we've brought this up many times. I can't stand the taxes here, right? So like my
Right.
finish line, like off in the distance, right? I see it. There's a checkered flag in the distance,
Right.
and somebody's waving it, and they're like, "You just got to get one kid or two kids through 1.5 more years here, 1.5, and
Gotta
then
get the spawns out of the home.
and I'm moving to Pennsylvania because
Pennsylvania, really? Ooh, why don't you come Midwest where it's friendly and clean?
it is clean.
I know Pennsylvania, the outskirts of Pennsylvania is beautiful. Don't take me wrong. It's a gorgeous area.
Yeah, Pennsylvania is like, it's just like Philly, Scranton, Erie, Pittsburgh, and State College is directly in the middle, and not a whole lot else. So a lot of woods. But no, it's more or less because of my job. I work out in PA.
Right.
Majorly. I still work in New Jersey a little bit, but majorly out in PA. And, there's no, we're actually going to still try to get like a little shore house in Jersey, like a small little thing.
Right.
Because at least at the shore, your taxes are very little because tourism pays for a lot of the stuff in the town. So you don't have to like shovel out a ton of money. So you can literally put most of your monthly mortgage payment into equity into your house, and you actually just own more of your house instead of giving away the money to the town. So that's
good to know.
That is that's my goal, and I just
So you're saying Martha's Vineyard to the future?
Yeah. I'm looking to like downsize. Actually, I mean, you've seen my house. Like it's
beautiful. It's a mansion, guys. It's when you, not to cut you off, but it's when you think of what does a doctor live in? A doctor with 2+ decades of experience. You go in his house, you're like, yeah, okay. The stereotype lives through.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved it. I didn't want to leave. I was like, do you want to adopt me? I know that we're only 10 and some change apart, but
sorry, I'll put you in the basement. You're good.
Yeah, that's fine. It's a big basement. It's bigger than my apartment.
It is a big basement. Yeah, so I can't wait to just like change up and get kind of like I desire what you have. Like I would like to just have nice amenities, smaller space, enough room for all the stuff that I want.
Right.
And it'll make my monthly bill a little bit less, but I still have like all the space for the stuff I want to do.
That would be that's respectable. Yeah, I never understood people like. Don't take me wrong. You had kids and wives. A wife is a different ballpark when it comes to the desires of a home size, I suppose. But kids are the biggest effect of what your home, how it's laid out, or what you buy. But like for me, I mean, same thing. I don't want a lot of. I don't, because you feel it. People naturally fill that space, and then you just have too much stuff. I like the cozy aspect of it. You know what I mean? So I can understand that.
You have a fireplace?
I do. We do have a fireplace.
Gas or wood?
It's gas. So in the state of Colorado, unless you buy a home that has an original wood burning fireplace, you can't put them in anymore.
Why?
Depends on the county. I think state-wise you can't. Some counties you could, like weld or whatever, that doesn't have the Air Care Act that Colorado has in some places. Right. But it's less about, I think some of it has to do with just general worries about fires. They're not as reliable and such as they used to be. But I had a fire. So before I met my wife, when I lived in the apartment in Fort Collins, I had a wood burning fireplace, and I loved that thing. That was like my go-to. People come over and be like, hey, it's like December, you want to make s'mores? They're like, what the hell am I gonna make s'mores? Let me just get my fireplace going, because it's not gas, but wood fireplaces are a lot. So yeah, I actually enjoy the gas one because we can let it run for hours, literal hours. There's no smell. It's completely ventilated, and it's a great source of heat. It's fairly cheap because natural gas is kind of cheap here.
That's good.
So
yeah, we have gas too. But we have a nice fire pit, like one of those solo stoves for the deck.
Those are great.
Crackling. Yeah. The smell is nice, and you can do the s'mores just like you said. And it's just nice to have like the sound of a real fire at times. It's a first world thing. Like this is not like Liv Dog's bitching because he has a gas fireplace. It's not a wood one. This is bullshit.
I was just bitching about my own. I miss my wood fireplace.
Goddamn ceilings aren't tall enough.
I know, right? It's like, well, but the thing about wood burning, so for me, wood burning fireplace is like you have to have a passion for them, or they're not worth your time.
Oh,
Because
so
yeah, because I had a full system. I had like ash and I had like my wood, and I would go chop wood because I didn't want to buy it for the ridiculous price that they charge wood
horrible.
for. And for people who've never been to Colorado or don't know much about Colorado, we had an infection of a pine beetle here sometime in I don't know, like the 70s, maybe the 80s, and there's a ton of trees that are dead from this pine beetle. They're called pine beetle kill, and it's free game. If you see pine beetle kill on the ground, oftentimes they'll go out, the Forest Service go out and cut them out anyways to try to reduce the spread.
Wow.
And so my buddy Staley, who has all this acreage and land and doesn't have a gas from the city, he burns his own wood. And so I'd go get pine beetle kill. But yeah, I had a whole system, like a scoops and cleaners and everything I did. And I would and I had a system too. I would make my fire and I would do my fire, and then I would clean it out and put it, and I enjoyed it. But I'm weird, and so
It looks like a very large like beard trimming kit that you have for fire. These tools.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah,
shovels and shit.
It's just a man way of doing it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like we gotta scoop it out. We gotta brush it. Gotta put the logs in the right way. But then, like, if you screw the flue up, or you have a draft in the house or something, all of a sudden you're 10 minutes away from asphyxiation from smoke. So,
Carbon
like,
monoxide
there is
poisoning.
so there is some downfall to it. Sorry, my contacts are deciding to be absolutely itchy. So there's some downfall to it. But if I could go back, like if I bought a home and somehow could find a loophole, I would put a wood burning fire, at least like a stove. You know what I mean? It's like little wood burning
Those
stoves.
are nice.
You can install those still.
Oh, that's cool.
I believe.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, my friend that I work with in the hospital, he's got like this wood burning stove, and it's literally though, it heats the house, but it's such a gradient of temperature. Like literally, you're like if you're like 2 feet away, I mean, you're gonna start melting like a chocolate bar, and then like 10 feet away, it's tolerable. Like 15 feet away, it starts getting cold, and it's just it's like looking at the street in the desert, and there's like these waves going up from the wall because it's so
the
hot.
heat waves.
It's so hot.
Well,
those are nice.
Those are super nice. And actually, there's a dude that I watch online who he's like a big, builds his own log cabins, like stuff that I wish I had the time and a little more manly points in the man card to do. But he wraps the chimney in copper pipe and then runs water through it and uses that to not only heat his house but supply hot water to his cabin. And I was like, that's brilliant. What a recycled source of energy. Yeah. So no, I would love one of those. Honestly, when I do buy a house, that's like a garage thing for sure. I'd love to have one of those in the garage. That way I can do work on stuff in the garage in the summer in the winter time, and not rely on like a heat buddy or a propane heater or something, because those can be iffy. This is a clean, natural, and you're right, man. They warm up vast spaces, and you got something to like make some coffee on, or
your kettle on
or whatever. Yeah, exactly. So
did you watch I watched some of the Linus Tech Tips video about him getting his new house. Like he built his home.
I have too. Yeah.
He's using his, I think
the server rack.
He's cooling his room with his pool or something like that. He has like heat pipes around his pool that like cool the water.
Yeah, something like that.
He has some sort of cooling system using his pool as a cooling system. Because he's heating his pool water, right? So it's warmer pool water.
He tapped in that server room, or he had a server rack, and he put like radiators behind it or something.
Right.
And I think he's tapped into that to also use this computers to cool or to warm the pool, because 70-degree pool water is enough to still completely drop that kind of air temperature in a closed server room environment or whatever.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I would do, if I had Linus Tech Tip money and all the stuff that dude has, I would do the same thing. He's got like water heated floors. Don't talk about first world problems.
Right.
I've never had water heated floors.
Right. I mean, that's the coolest thing, because like literally you have money to just say, hey, what'd be cool? Let's use the pool as like a big, water cooler.
That's a great idea.
Let's just, this stuff doesn't exist, so it all has to be fabricated, because there's no systems like this. So you have to get an engineer. they got to fabricate the shit, then they got to make sure it all works. And
I know. It's expensive, but I mean, like, I'll be honest, I'll give him some props though. Like, it is a super green way to reutilize, you know, your first world luxuries to to minimize your footprint, I suppose. I mean,
yeah,
I can't. I mean, I'm not any better than him. I would do the same thing, but I think yeah, his house is cool. I really dig his like heated floors and his heated driveway and all the other stuff that he's got.
right.
Um, but
It's
but yeah.
cool.
Anyways,
We,
sorry.
I actually, it's certainly not enough to, build a water cooling system out of my pool, but I don't have a pool. Um, I built a new PC, and that, you talk
Oh
about
yeah,
things that things that like just take away time in your day. I was sick for like 3 weeks, and my
okay.
voice still isn't back.
Yeah, I can tell.
Like
I
I
can
would
hear
just for like I lost my voice. I thought it was because I had my high school reunion.
it.
I thought it was because you
Okay.
might be a little too loud at the high school reunion. Maybe that was
Yeah,
what it
yeah, yeah.
was. But it was probably one of these like respiratory viruses that you're hearing about. It's probably RSV. Took a COVID test. They were negative. But it's probably like
Okay.
respiratory syncytial virus or just general viral laryngitis. And it just, my voice would not come back. Like it would not come back. And I had to talk to
It's better
patients
though.
in the ER. Yeah, but it's like when you lose your voice, it's like it's so much effort to talk. Like
Yeah.
it's like,
What causes that?
well, you get some edema. You get some edema of vocal cords, and you just can't phonate
The-
well by your vocal cords moving enough past the air right. And then it's like you come out like breathy and quiet, and then like your voice will
okay.
crack, or you'll be talking a sentence and it just goes away while you're talking. And
Not enough energy.
and then yeah,
Interesting.
so I have a talking job, so it's
You do have a talking
that was
job.
hard. So I wanted to get in touch with you to do the podcast earlier, but I'm like, I can't talk. Like I just can't do it right now. So that was one of my problems. Then, building a PC, so I wanted
How'd that
to.
go, by the way?
Oh, good, good. I'm using it now. This is it now. This is a 13900K
Okay.
with a
How you
4090.
like it with the weird cores, like the performance and the
Well,
economy or whatever?
so far, my not doing any overclocking or anything like that. I got I got a Cinebench score of 35,357.
Hey Jamie, pull that up real quick. Let me
Right.
look up the 1300K on the.
It's
I'm gonna
like
look that up.
glaucoma fleck, and he always has like, what is his name? Timothy
Oh yeah, Timothy.
or Jimothy
By
or
the way, I
something like
love
that.
that guy.
Yeah,
Jimothy.
yeah,
It's
It's
Jimothy.
Jimothy. It's
Yeah.
not Tim. It's not Jim. It's Jimothy. And what was my 3D Mark went up to 23,000. I thought it was higher than that.
Holy moly, that's a
23,000. I thought it was 33,000. See, I don't even remember. Wait, it's got to be higher than that. Yeah, yeah. No, it's 31,421 right now.
dang that. So I have so for the record, I have an i9 10900X. That's a static clock at 4.7. I don't have like the C states or anything enabled. It's just one static clock all the time at 4.7. And right now, my average CPU mark is probably around 2500. I'm sorry, 25,000 CPU pass mark, CPU mark.
Okay.
So pass mark, CPU benchmark. So about 24,000, I'd say average, give or take. And yours average is between 59 and 60,000.
Wow.
That's incredible. That's an incredible.
I have to run the benchmark.
So your single threaded rating, well,
It's only okay.
yeah, it's still about 1,400 points higher than mine. That's just nuts to me because I really thought that the efficiency cores, I don't know, like it's a weird architecture to me. I guess I look at CPUs like I look at muscle cars. I want all the power all the time, but
Right.
apparently it's not that. It's great. It's efficient, and they're good for what they do.
Makes sense. Like, I mean, if you're not going to be utilizing it, then, just, run things on your efficiency cores. And as long as I guess the point is for it to not to be very noticeable. Because if
Right.
you don't need like, 4K ultra high setting gaming power,
Right.
then and you're just going to do Outlook, I guess you can use
Right.
cores for that.
Right, right.
But yeah, so I ended up basically, I mean, it's a new motherboard because it's a new socket.
Okay.
So about an Asus motherboard, and then I was toying like, yeah, I've got like a 1,000 watt power supply. Maybe I should go up a little bit because the
Okay.
4090 is big chungus,
Right, right.
and then this is higher. So I went up to a 1,200 watt power supply just to give me another 200 watts. So basically, the only things I didn't change on that new RAM, right? DDR5 RAM.
How you liking the DDR5?
I mean, it's it's 4K, everything on ultra, like 130, 140 FPS in like Modern Warfare 2.
Huh. Okay. Interesting.
So it's
All
like,
right.
and it actually plays. My ultimate benchmark is how good does Star Citizen run, because Star Citizen is so just unoptimized that I'm just like brute force power. Like how good, and it actually runs pretty well. It's still not
You
wonderful, but it's good.
right. You have to. You have to. Star Citizen is just not optimized. So the fact that you're just brute forcing it like that is is nice.
It's like
It's
a
nice.
smooth path. This is a rocky hill, but the CPU can kind of navigate that terrain anyway, so it kind of works out. And so basically, that's a whole day. Like if you've
Right.
built PCs and you
Yeah.
want to just toss it in, like I'm like OCD. The cable management's
Oh
got to
yeah.
be good.
Right.
You've got to make sure like it's just right. So
Take your time anyways, because how you
right,
break stuff. You know what I mean?
right. Because my biggest fear, and what's never happened to me, that I
What's
put
that?
everything in, close everything up, plug it in, and it doesn't start. Or like there's some sort of, has that ever happened to you?
That
Catastrophic.
uh
You got to take it all apart, and you're like, I don't know what the hell's wrong here.
I don't think of, I mean, not since I was like a young kid playing with Penny and fours and like, recycled Dell, you know, Pavilion or Optiplexes or whatever. But my computers now, if I have like a no boot scenario or like a no post, it's usually like a configuration or something silly, you know what I mean? And they resolve, but it's been a minute, but those are the worst. Then you're like,
Yeah,
what a, now you got to debug it, you know what I mean? But thankfully now we have little LED, little what do they call those? Matrix
like
displays or whatever.
they have like little self-test like LEDs on the motherboard and like lights up like for RAM, CPU, and
Mine has that. It has lights on all the RAM sockets, has a light above the PCIe sockets, and it's got a light above the CPU socket. But it also has the little 10 matrix or whatever, the little
a number
number LED, the little number LED.
code.
Yeah, and it gives me my postcodes. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right, right. Yeah, we have that.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, it's been a hot minute, but that's the worst when it does happen.
yeah. So I put it all together. It worked fine off the bat. I was very happy. And of course, then you want to reinstall Windows, and that's a hassle. And I did figure out, by the way, if you attach your Windows install to your Windows Store,
Like your Microsoft account.
your Microsoft account, like you can just say, hey, this computer is not using this Windows license anymore, and you can say, no,
Right.
this computer is using it, and basically that's it. So
Right.
that worked out well, and so I got Windows on, and of course, everything has to be reinstalled. So the more you put on, actually, right now, this motherboard I'm running 4 M.2s on this motherboard, and then
Wow. Really?
yeah, there's 12 terabytes of SSD in this computer.
So, but that's got to be because you must have an incredible amount of PCIe lanes, then, because
Yeah,
M.2s all run off PCIe.
they do. They
Is your graphics card still 16, or is it dropped to 8 to compensate
no,
for all
you know
those
why it hasn't
M.2s?
dropped to 8? It hasn't dropped to 8 because of the video capture card and the other PCI slot.
Interesting.
So there's more lanes with the new motherboards and this new 13th generation CPU.
Huh.
So
Okay.
you can add more stuff to it, and some of the M.2s actually get routed through the chipset, and then some of them get routed
okay.
through the CPU directly. So
Oh, okay.
there are PCI Express 5,
Right.
which interestingly enough, if you look up the stats, like the 4090s, like they still use 4, so they don't use.
Yeah.
No one's using the PCI 5 technology except for some M.2s out right now do. So they're
It's
incredibly
future
fast.
proofing.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's the future proofing.
So, and then some of them use, the rest of them use 4 on mine. So it actually, this is interesting. I've never seen this before. This motherboard comes with what looks like a 5th RAM slot, and
Oh, for right.
it holds 2 M.2s, one on each side. So it's a little tiny circuit board that has like a RAM.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
You can put an M.2 on each side and then plug it into that 5th RAM slot. So
interesting. Interesting.
that's my other 2 M.2s.
Huh.
So I have 2 on the board.
I get that.
2 on the board, and then there's I think there's 4 slots on the actual main board itself, and then you can add 2 more. So I think it could hold 6 total, but I'm only doing 4.
Okay.
But I do have to run it at 8x because as soon as I occupy the second PCI slot, it's gonna go from 16 down to 8. Or if I occupy the PCI Express 5 M.2 slot, that would knock it down to 8 as well. But I left that open, so I didn't use that. But
hold on, continue. I'm looking at mine because I'm curious because I have two M.2s, but I also have 4 SATA. So like the thing is, so for people who don't know my build, I have a i9 10900X, but I'm running on the 2066 socket. The old Intel, or the Intel's last enthusiast series stuff, but it has limitations of its own. Now the thing about this socket is I do have quad channel RAM, so I have 4 RAM slots on both sides of my CPU, which is what I'm waiting for Intel's enthusiast stuff to come out again before I go crazy and rebuild this system, because I have yet to tap the system out. So here's my deal. So I have 2 M.2s. So when I have 2 M.2s going on, that kills one of my. Yeah. It kills 4 of my SATAs, leaving me 4 SATA. So 4 SATA left. So it kills 4 SATA, gives me 4 SATA left and a U.2, and it kills my second PCIe slot, but leaves the top one, the 2 bottom ones, and the 2, what do they call them? 2 times, little like mini ones or whatever.
Little 4x.
Yeah. So I don't know if I have a PCIe speed loss. I would assume I do. But I don't know. The sockets are different. That's interesting. I mean, you have so many. I can't even. I mean, I can have one more on my board, and then I would only have. So I could do one more. I could do one more on the board. Mm-hmm. That's weird. I don't even. This configuration barely makes sense to me. Interesting.
Do you have all your RAM slots full?
Yeah.
You have 8 sticks of RAM?
Yep.
Wow. That's a lot.
I mean, I was able to get. I wanted 128 gigs initially, but I only have 64, so it's, what is that, 8 a socket?
32 and 32. Yeah.
I like that system. I like the look of it too, which will kind of bum me out if that the Intel series hasn't had that come out yet. They haven't had any enthusiast products yet, but the 1300K is nuts, and I kind of want it. So.
Yeah, it's pretty fast, and I put my old stuff up on eBay, and literally it's sold in a day. Processor, power supply, the RAM, and my old motherboard just sold like literally like an hour or 2 ago. So I've got to ship that out tomorrow. But it's I'm happy. Everything's kind of back to normal. Oh, but I did have one. We were talking about like turning it on and having a problem. I did have one problem. I have a closed loop NZXT CPU.
AIO.
Right. Yeah, the AIO.
Right.
Cooler. So, and it's the one that has the little has like the CPU and GPU. It's like a little screen on the cooler itself. And it was working. Everything was great. I brought it into my office I do it all in the kitchen because I have like a lot more equipment, a lot more space to work with parts and wires and shit that are all hanging out in place. I plug it in, and the screen is not functioning it's black. And that's one problem. But the other problem is that the pump like isn't working either. So it's like, it's dead.
Is it new or is it your old one?
It was my old one. So I'm like, oh crap, what the heck happened here?
Did you give the love taps? Because sometimes it's just sediment gets stuck in there.
No, it's not that. It was like the screen was off and black. The thing wasn't working. Like it was like dead.
I see what you're saying. I got you. Yeah. Okay.
Screen, and therefore the pump underneath it were not functioning. The fans on the radiator are plugged into the board, the main board, so they just spin.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm like, shit, like
But not cooling.
this isn't really effectively cooling the CPU. That's a
That's not
problem.
good.
But I don't know what it was. I guess it wasn't. You have to plug in the screen into one of the USB 2.0 headers on the board, and all I did was like take like an eraser and just like push it in a little farther, and it turned on, and it was working.
Yeah,
I
that's
turned the computer off before I did that, but it was working.
AIOs.
I know it works now.
AIOs are weird like that. That's the one thing that you don't. Yeah, I don't. I'm very weird about the cooling. I'm the kind of guy who like sands down the copper block and make sure that it is. I'll basically like put it on like an ink pad and then sand it on like a face block until all corners of the ink go away. That way, it's completely flat.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm weird like that. I like my cooling because these things run hot. At least my 10900X, it's a boiler for sure.
This is too. I actually read that in some cases, like the CPU can go up to 100 Celsius.
I mean, like for mine 101, this thing turns off. Like I have it set to turn off at 100 Celsius.
I'd have to look to see what the actual like thermal, like the what do they call it? That like the ceiling is of it.
Oh, the thermal threshold, the T delta.
Yeah, well,
or whatever it is.
T
junction.
Whatever temperature it needs to reach before it starts down. When it starts throttling, because it's like too hot.
Do you remember the old? So way back in the day, like Quake and Unreal, right? We had Celeron or Pentium Force. There was a video. This is Miss Moo. There's a video where a dude took his heatsink off his old AMD. That's what it was. It was an AMD Athlon 64. And it was like him taking off the heatsink off of the Athlons and the Intels and seeing what happens if they run hot without any cooling. And the Athlons would like literally smoke and burn away. Back in the day. I remember that old video. And then I think in one of them he like made a little like bowl out of tinfoil and like cooked an egg in it or something.
Do you remember like the Pentiums used to be they almost look like a RAM chip. They almost look like a cartridge.
Oh, those are classic Pentiums, like 2 and 3s.
Right. So I used to plug those in like sideways. Right. They weren't like a square.
Yeah, because they're breakout. It was a breakout board. Right. Yeah.
So my first time I ever installed a CPU cooler, I messed it up and burned out my CPU like within like
expensive back then.
Within like 20 seconds, and it
was. Oh my god!
So the old fans,
I would have cried.
The old fans that were like a heatsink and then a fan on top of the heatsink, they weren't completely flat. They were flat, and then they had like a little ridge, and that ridge corresponded to like this plastic part on the socket, right? And so you were only able to put the fan on one way, and I 180'd it by mistake.
No. So it wasn't making contact at all.
Yeah, I mean, I put my own thermal grease on it now, but they always have that like heat pad, that little like gray sticker. You take the little plastic thing off and you stick it down.
Yeah.
I turned the computer on, and boot it up, and then like before it even got out of BIOS post. And now like computers will shut down. Like now they have these
the T-junction probe.
Right. They'll stop. They'll say, this isn't good. Just cut the power. Back then, no.
They didn't have those. No, I know.
I smelled like something that just didn't smell well, and then
ozone.
And then that was it.
The magic smoke came out, and that was the end of it. I did that with the old Pentium. I had old Pentium that burnt up like that. Same thing. I just remember, but I think what happened is that I was a young kid. And I was probably like putting RAM in it or something, or just being stupid. Because, were you the kind of kid that like tore stuff apart just to see how it worked?
Yeah. And unfortunately, it was like things that weren't cheap. And then, Every
Yeah,
once in a
I was
while, you
grounded.
just freaking brick it, and then you'd be like in a lot of trouble, and your parents would yell at you, and like you're not getting another one. Like that's
I took apart like our first wireless phone ever,
it.
and my family didn't have a lot of money growing up, so that I was in some trouble for that one.
That's a big
But
deal.
I was in my computer. I had this old IBM. I was in this computer, and I didn't put the heatsink bracket on all the way or something, and it worked for a little bit, but at some point it like overheated, and then it just never turned back on again. And I was like so afraid to tell my mom. I was like, I don't know what happened. I don't know. It just stopped working. Crazy. But I'm thankful for the safety systems now because I've definitely pushed my stuff and you know, you need those things though.
Yeah. It's
You
kind
need
of
those
hard. It's
things.
kind of hard to destroy stuff now because these
It's
things just
very hard.
cut out when as soon as they realize that something's wrong, it just
It's pins. Pins are the way to blow stuff up these days. Not even blow it up, just the way you could ruin a motherboard or anything like that. It's always like the pins on the LGA sockets or I know AMD went LGA recently, but back then, you know, they always had the actual physical pins on the CPU still. I mean, bend one of those, that's it, you know.
I've done that.
But yeah, outside, me too, me
Drop
too.
it.
Sit there with like a pocket knife trying to like get everything lined up again. Yeah,
You know what I used to use?
stupid.
And it's the way I see it online too. And I thought I was like brilliant for figuring it out, but apparently a lot of people have done it. You get a mechanical pencil, right? And you just take the lead out of it. And then
and put it in and
put the pencil on the pin and just like move the pencil and it'll like bend the pin back.
that's a good idea. I've always used a knife because it's a very flat surface that it means I can make sure that the pins are lined up relatively in the same, you know what I mean? But once you get in the socket, they form anyways, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, God, I don't miss those days at all. I was very thankful LGA until I had something fall into my LGA socket, an old motherboard of mine, and them little LGA pins, because they're different. Like they're like kind of like a spring, like an angled spring. I had to like get like a magnifying glass out and like a microscope, like a digital microscope, and try to. And that's actually the motherboard Glenn's using right now.
Is it really?
I was able to with through a microscope, electronics microscope, get all the pins back in place and send him that board. Because that's why I didn't have. That's why I wasn't using it. He's like, "Why? I was like, I have the CPU and stuff," and I was like, "I bet you can get this board working," and I did. I ended up getting it working. So he's still using it, I think.
Yeah, needs an upgrade.
I mean, I feel bad. He does. I mean, it was still a 220. It's still a enthusiast socket, just the previous gen, 2011 V3. I think is what that socket is, or V2 or whatever.
Right.
So, good old Glenn. How's he doing? You've talked to him in a while.
I played a little Call of Duty with him yesterday. He's doing good.
Call of Duty.
He's doing good. Did you download it? Did you try it yet? Did the free?
I did. Yeah, I played Warzone. I haven't played the DMZ yet. It just feels like Call of Duty to me.
Yeah.
I think that the equipment unlock stuff is absolute trash. How you have to like play other game modes to get things unlocked. I hate that. It's a money grab. I hate Activision naturally. Like I have no brand loyalty to them, so like I just hate them for everything all the time.
Why?
However, I don't know. They give you the bare minimum, even at the full cost. That's how I always felt. It bothers me. I'm sorry, Call of Duty fanboys, but I remember Call of Duty back in the day, like classic Call of Duty, even the first Modern Warfare, and I thought those games were fantastic. They actually had a lot of love and time put into them, especially the original ones, the way back in the day Call of Duties. With Mech Warrior was big and Medal of Honor, like all those games, that Call of Duty time, those are great games. And then now I just feel like it's a rinse and repeat stamp. You know what I mean? It doesn't even look that different compared to the previous one.
I do enjoy the DMZ. The DMZ is like Baby Tarkov.
That's what I've been told. I've been told it's Baby Tarkov.
It's easy. The AI isn't as ruthless, and you run into players, you run into AI, and basically you go into this area and you have missions that you have to do. You have to like collect, 3 of these or 2 of these. It's kind of like Tarkov. And you got to be able to extract and not die. And there's extraction sites that like people all have to kind of come into all at the same time.
It's like the DZ from Division,
right?
The Dark Zone.
Yeah. So I think it's fun. It's at least it's something different. So if you had to pick, hold on, if you had to pick, who's the worst evil, EA or Activision?
As of recently, or like in all encompassing?
All encompassing.
Oh, probably Electronic Arts. They've ruined more of my games than Activision has.
That's the way I feel.
Activision. The thing about Activision is that they're not they're they're business smart. I hate to say that, but like as a businessman, they're smart because they know their audience, and it's like the modern generation of the Mountain Dew drinking kids. I know Mountain Dew's not a thing anymore, but the generation of those kids today, that's what Activision gets after, and they do a great job because those people buy it day in and day out. You know what I mean? They don't really care. They buy the game every time. And I haven't bought Call of Duty since the last one, which I barely played. And $60 is a lot. And even today, it's a lot.
70
You know what I
now.
mean? And 99 for the deluxe and shit.
All basic games now across the board are going to be 69 and up. 69 total.
That's ridiculous.
Including Diablo.
I mean, so that's it. Well, let's talk about that in a second. But the cost of games need to, like, I get it that the cost of living has gone up, you know, for people and engineers and stuff like that. But Call of Duty is not a $70 game. I'm sorry, Activision. It's not a $70 game. Jesus, I can't even think of an actual $70 video game right now that gives you everything you could want. You know what I mean? I'd pay $70 for like Valheim or something, which is silly because that game was like $15,
right.
But it is such a fun, packed game with so much content, so much beauty, so many things to do, and they did a great job and they care.
Have you been
Activision? I don't get that from them. I have actually. My lady's very addicted to it.
I was gonna say, like, why you bring up Valheim? Because we had the Valheim for a while, and
I never played it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I wasn't really into it. I didn't get into it, and then decided to play it as something to do in the evening with the missus, and we having a grand old time. You know what I mean? I when I finally figured out there's like bosses and storylines and all these things that you can do, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of really cool stuff, and the game is just like, if you stop and take a minute, it's a beautiful game, and you don't realize that the graphics are what they are.
Right. It's artistically beautiful. It's not a realism game.
Yeah, but like, no, not at all.
The way they weave that canvas just is really just pretty.
That's a great term, yeah. Because like, if you stop and think about it, wow, you're like, wow, what a 2D pixelated game. But like, if you're not really thinking about it, your brain just assumes it's this high quality,
right,
3D game, depth of field, all the effects. You know, you don't really think about that it has like Windbreaker, whatever that Zelda game is,
right,
Breath of the Wild style graphics. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's a good game. I liked it. I would play that again. I should start playing that again.
I'll play with you. I'll play Valheim with you. It's fun.
What about Diablo?
Well, you know, I pessimist me goes, they fucking ruined the last one they came out with. That game was awful. So just literally a mobile game clone from some Chinese, money suck. And so like, how do I have any faith? Because 3 was not that great either. I thought 3 was this weird League of Legends homage. Like, Diablo 2 was gritty, dark, evil, and it's just Diablo. Diablo 1 and Diablo 2, they just felt Diablo. Diablo 1 was even darker. Like, if you go back and play the original Diablo when they didn't get rid of some of the lines and stuff, like some of the guys are talking about like being dismembered, and I don't know.
Yeah.
But Diablo 3 was like, I don't know, it's just soft. It's soft. So then that mobile game came out that we got, and we had to force ourselves to play that. I feel like I did, at least. I feel like I had to force myself to play that game.
I'm kind of, video games to me are like movies. Like, I very rarely hate a game, but I don't love a game. Like, it's like, yeah, it's enjoyable, but it's not really what.
Right.
It doesn't tickle that. We were talking about that on a couple episodes. Like, you're looking for that itch to be scratched. Like, it just
dopamine
doesn't do that. Is it fun?
Dopamine.
That's sorry.
Yeah.
So I know Diablo 4 has like world bosses now and all this other stuff. So I don't.
Yeah. Well, everybody I talked to is. Well, I'll get it too. I'm probably going to buy Diablo 4 because I've had 3 people now. Some people from my work are like, "Oh, Diablo 4." Blah, blah, blah. So some of those guys are like, they hate everything. So if they're excited for it, I think I can probably find. I need to watch a video on it. I actually didn't even know it was coming out until somebody had said something to me, because I've been so detached from upcoming video game world stuff. Yeah, I just
finger on that now.
It just, everything's been trash lately. Like, nothing's come out that's been like mind-boggling. Like, the Tarkov wipe's coming soon. I'm looking forward to that, weirdly, but I miss Tarkov a little bit.
I do too.
But nothing good's come out. Like even if I pop Steam open right now,
Otherwise,
there's I mean,
Diablo 4 I think comes out in June of the summer,
okay,
and you can pre-order it now.
is it $99 too?
For
$70?
the for the ultimate like Chad version, yeah. It's like $99. But it's 69 for the base.
Sheesh. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'll probably get it. I'll probably get it.
This is
Just
why
because I am a huge Diablo fan.
you go to school, this way you get a job, right? Because eventually, if you want to keep up with your hobby, they're going to keep increasing the price on you.
Seriously. Yeah, I mean nothing. And I heard Assassin's Creed Valhalla that just came out is mixed at best. And let's see. Mixed. Yeah, mixed. There's some games that came out, but they're all like the ones that like I'm like, oh, that looks kind of cool, end up being mixed. And then you get stuff like Choo Choo Charles. What is this like?
Overwhelmingly
I don't know.
positive.
It does. It's very positive, and it's
Wait a
like
minute, is that the scary train game where you're on an island?
yes.
Yeah.
How's this game? I'm just looking at this now. By the way, guys, I'm literally looking at this now. I've not seen this before. It's first of all, this is crazy to me that this is a game. Somebody took a funny, yeah, but the original idea came from a this Flash creator, Meat Canyon. If you're under the age of 21, don't look up his videos. They're disturbing. If you can't buy cigarettes, you shouldn't watch his Flash videos. But he made it like some funny. He makes like sick satire of like modern cartoons, and he does one of Thomas the Tank Engine, and this is literally the video game of that. This is crazy.
I saw some video on like TikTok where a guy was like, the guy who made it is like, yeah, I just made this game. He made it like by himself, and it's like doing fantastic.
Yeah, it's got very positive reviews.
Yeah. I haven't looked at the store page yet to actually look at it, so you're looking at it first.
I mean, let me just read some of these reviews, guys. Little review hour here. So Raz, and he has 3.4 hours on record. Posted it the 10th of December. He goes TLDR version, short and sweet and to the point. A fantastic little horror game, 9 out of 10. The rest of the thing is the game is a great time. The game is a great time to start to finish. It was a great time start to finish. Charles was terrifying. The island is fun to explore, and the sense of danger that comes with leaving the train, knowing he could shamble over the horizon at any moment, never left me. I haven't. There's not. Oh, here's one negative. Game feels great and is fun to play, but $20 price tag feels a bit much for 2 hours of content. That's like the only negative review. It's funny. I'll make a train horror. I bet you it doesn't take off. Takes off. That's interesting. Yeah, so that's the video game world today. That's the market of video games. I feel like.
Good.
But that's the problem. It's like I just feel like video games. I feel like it's recently it has just been. It's just like the bottom of the barrel, meeting the minimum quo, you know, and leaving it at that. I have yet to find a video game that's really outside of Stray. I mean, that game made me feel emotions, and that's a lot for a man who can't remember the last time a tear fell down my face. So that game was cheap. It was beautiful. Yeah, video games just suck. That's why I haven't really keep an eye on them recently, I suppose. Scorn. I played Scorn. That was cool. That game, talk about a game that's canvas to be woven in an art game. There's no, you decide what that's like. But that game was so unique. I don't know if you've seen that.
I'm looking it up. Scorn? I have not.
Yeah, also probably going to be 21 to play that game.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was in development for 8 years. It is totally just an artistic rendition. There's no major storyline that I can tell. I kind of get it. It's almost like a homage to like reproduction. I don't know. You got to watch it. I'll send you the art book. I bought the art book, the digital art book for it or whatever. It came in a PDF, and
it's creepy.
But it's not though. Like the game isn't actually. It's like I don't explain it. Like when I first got it, I'm like, this game's gonna scare the snap. It's gonna scare the shit out of me. It's gonna be this weird graphic game, but like it was oddly disturbingly beautiful. I don't know. You got to check it out. That's all I can say.
It's $29.99 on Steam right now. It's $10 off.
8 years. That guy worked it for 8 years.
Wow.
Like there was a reason why they did it the way they did it. It was they had a vision, they met it. But even that was kind of disappointing because for 8 years of development, the game was not that long. And when I got done with it, I'm like, what the fuck happened?
What did I just do?
Like I was like, what is the story here? And then I'm like, went back and tried it again, and I couldn't figure it out. And I'm watching videos, and everybody has like a weird opinion on it. And the guy that made it, he won't tell you. So like,
Yeah,
I can't stand that stuff.
keeps it interesting. When he doesn't want
I want to know.
It probably is,
and I think it's the purpose. I think that's what it is. It's something about like the general census of it is, and TLD spoiler alert. It's like, well, you should play it, but you won't even get this from playing it. But it's like reproduction and human expense and resource, and how like now we're using humans, like crafting humans to use them as the resource. I don't know. You just gotta play it. It's a unique game.
There's a lot
of beautiful.
There's a lot of phallic and genital symbolism. There's a lot of insertions. Like I'm just looking at the video. It's all I see.
Well, there's like giant, like almost like Roman sexual statues of like coitus and girls sitting on a dude's face in like these weird artistic forms. And I didn't even notice at first. And I look at this thing, I'm like, wait a minute. And then like it dawned on me. And then that's when I kind of made the sense that this is some weird like human reproduction, but like, I don't know. You just got to play it. Like maybe we should just do like, it's a single player game, but we could do like one of those like play and watch things or whatever, because I don't know, it's unique. You'd have to play it yourself because I want you to fumble around in this world and squish the creatures and all the stuff you got to do and watch your face. But it's a unique game.
It hasn't been out that long, so I guess you must have got it semi-recently. Released October.
I've been watching it for a while, so when it came out, I got it pretty much immediately.
Yeah. Are you allowed to talk about your stuff?
A little bit. So yeah, I guess I could talk a little bit about it. So let me think about this. I'm a competitive shooter gamer. I've been playing competitive games. We know this. Counter-Strike, Siege, But one of the things in the competitive market that we don't see anymore today is just a lightweight, straight to the point 5v5 tactical shooter. You got Counter-Strike, which is a sport, fast, sporty style game. And then you have Siege, which is like League of Legends and politically driven and just a weird game. It's not the same game. Original Siege, the beta Siege, was fantastic. It was that lightweight tactical with a little bit of flair. And now it's like crayon League of Legends social justice shooter game. So like there's nothing in the middle. So when that game 0 Hour came out, that game was awful, trash. And M7, I hope you watch this. You suck. Listen to your fan base. You went from having numerous thousands players at a day playing, and most of them, a good chunk of them were brought because we had built this competitive league, and they did everything in your power to ruin the competitive aspect of the game. So now you have 90 active users. So you're welcome. But like, there's nobody wants to build that anymore, but yet there's a massive demand, and there's so much of a demand for it that you can see people following trash games around, hanging on to whatever thread they can, because that's all there is. So I may or may not be building my own with a team of people that I played competitive with. And we have one gentleman who is actually an Unreal developer. So me being a computer software engineer and him being an Unreal developer. And then we have a set of guys and potentially even yourself going to be putting this together and hopefully turning this into a business. Well, it is a business, but hopefully it will take off like Choo Choo Charles.
Right. And it's a fledgling business.
Hope we can make new games, but we just want to bring lightweight. I want to revive the 5v5 tactical thing because people are desperate for it. It's like a good MMO. Like, just nobody does it. And then people who do it, they do this weird vision of it because they're so detached from the community. In addition to that, I want to start a business that builds a brand loyalty. Not many games do that anymore. Like Hello Games, they have a brand loyalty, right? And look, they made Game of the Year. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So there's a business to be made there, and I refuse to be the venture capitalist bare minimum system. So yeah, I don't want to talk too much about it, but it's a 5v5 tactical shooter. It's got kind of, it's like if you took a little bit of Counter-Strike, a little bit of Siege, a little bit, it's a huge homage to the original SWAT games, original Rainbow Six games, but take all the overly complex storyline stuff out and make it just make it a raw 5v5 tactical shooter. The way I like to say it is we're a competitive game with a realism sprinkled on top, realism wrapped around it. So we're a little ways out. I don't want to say too much more on that. And when I'm allowed to, or when we finally get to the point where we have something to fully show outside of just like our private play test, I will get some stuff up for the community. But
Be great.
Yeah,
that is. I just have to say that is so inspirational, because this is, we talk almost every episode that we do of this podcast usually touches in some way, shape, or form on dissatisfaction with the current land
gotta do it yourself.
gaming, right? So
Right.
but not a lot of people could do that. But I mean, if you look, you can download, Unreal Engine 5. You can, and it's decently easy to use compared to some of the other stuff that came before it.
Right.
And now, people are like, you know what? I'll just do it myself.
Yeah, I mean that
Right?
seriously. I mean, and I will say that Unreal, because that's what we're using, Unreal Engine 5. And anybody could get it down, and you can learn the engine. You could easily make a video game. You can make a multiplayer game out of the box. But I, not myself, but us as the group, but myself as the lead engineer, the CTO, I have made it my life's duty to make sure that it is as consistent multiplayer experience as possible. And then I'm doing everything in my power to combat cheating. I have researched, and yeah, I mean, to the point now, I don't want to give too much away, but like we're architecting systems to use like cloud computing to, basically learn what a cheater looks like in every aspect of the way. I mean, I'm going to do everything we can to prevent that. I'm trying to save the sanctity of a competitive environment. I can't stand cheaters. I can't stand cheating in sports, in real life. I can't stand cheating in video games, and we want to get that dialed in. So, plus, the other thing that I think people, so we have a bit of a hurdle that we're working through, and it's been a huge learning experience. But the other thing is that we're building a world, we're building a story, building an environment and factions, things like that. Which only gives us a roadmap for future ideas if this takes off, is something that people enjoy. I'd love to take on some big titles.
There'll be a whole lore, behind all of this.
That's kind of what we initially were just going realism, but I think we're starting to dial in more towards. I mean, realism with like GNG9 and in actual units, but we're starting to kind of build an actual story that's not just some random unknown CT, unknown T style. We are trying to come up with something unique. So yeah, we'll get it figured out.
Cheating, I mean, nothing will ruin a game like cheaters who come in and just like ruin everybody's time, and then you end up having, if developers don't do something about it like promptly, or put that kind of at the forefront. That's like one of the things, along with like gameplay, right? Because that is part of gameplay, because your gameplay is ruined if people cheat. That people won't put up with that very long.
No, cheating's a huge problem. It's ruined every game I've played competitively. I mean, that's the reason why I don't play Counter-Strike anymore. And if I do play Counter-Strike, it has to be FACEIT. And because FACEIT has such a hardcore kernel-based anti-cheat that, gives some sanctity. But in the defense of companies like Steam and Valve, well, people don't put the money to anymore. You got like easy anti-cheat and stuff like that actually works pretty good. But it's a hard thing to catch, which is why the end system I'm engineering is not just some anti-cheat on your kernel. It'll be kernel based. It is a kernel based anti-cheat, but we're talking cloud computing, we're talking interactions, we're talking people who will be monitoring dashboard. It takes an army. You know what I mean? And I still expect there to be a percentage of people that we never catch, because you used to live in your mom's basement and you should take a shower and stop cheating in video games.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But I digress. So yeah, so something's going on. I don't want to say too much, but we got a lot cool. We got a lot working on. I know you've seen some of it, and it's very early raw stage. But for a ragtag team of dudes, we have some really AAA quality stuff that we've been able to pull out and put together in a short period of time. And shout out to Unreal Engine, but they've helped us get some of that stuff figured out. But I'm excited. I don't see it yet because I have a problem with that, but every day it looks more real and more real. Like I just connected the other day in with another person and we got to like shoot each other in the face. It was an experience. So
Nothing's more exciting than shooting your friend in the face.
yeah, on something you build in the world you made, right?
I
So
made this, and now you're dead.
I know.
Great.
I killed you with the thing I made in the world I made, and you died the way I made you want to die. But yeah. So more next time we talk, I'm sure I could be able to say more, you know. But yeah. So, but
what else you got?
Yeah, not much. Just working.
Yeah,
working my dick into the dirt. I'm still exhausted from the move. Our move was horrible. But
it's
I don't know if we even did. We have a podcast after I moved. I think we did.
No, I haven't because I haven't seen your office yet.
Oh, then I haven't told you we never discussed the horridness of the move.
No.
To get here. So, well, I don't want to. I'll do a TLDR because it was a battle. But the big things are a U-Haul we ordered didn't exist, and we had to buy 2 U-Hauls to fit the stuff because they didn't have the large one we needed. So we had to buy 2 smaller ones to make up for that size. Our movers no called, no showed to move us out of our units. We had to do it ourselves, basically. I scrounged together laborers, which let me tell you, people, there's a significant difference between laborers and movers. Laborers are not movers. Movers could be laborers, but laborers are not movers because real movers, them boys do science. I don't know what they do, but they do science. Where our movers just no called, no showed. So we had some laborers show up, and I'm so thankful that they were able to show up and do what we had them do because we got to move the heavy stuff, but they sucked nonetheless. I still paid them handsomely for their time and good bonus tips and things like that because it also sucks to move heavy shit up 3 flights of stairs or 2 flights of stairs or whatever. But yeah, no movers, no calls. So like I mean we were expected to have the entire apartment emptied by 2:00. And then I was gonna spend the rest of the day cleaning it and get everything ready to go. And we didn't get out until about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and we had to be out by midnight. So I barely got any time to clean the apartment. And let me tell you, when I say that apartment complex reamed me through fees because I didn't get the cleaning I wanted done in because we moved in, moved out, and like I had no choice. And it's another thing we were talking about a couple podcasts ago. There's no room for reality in the world of money and companies. They don't give a shit. But if they have a problem, then you have to bend over backwards for them. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I got reamed pretty hard for that. And we didn't leave it disastrous. And I mean, I've seen some disastrous things through my years. This was not disastrous, even through the chaos that we had, but it wasn't scrubbed down like we wanted it to. So I got reamed there. And then then I couldn't get the garage in time. Thankfully, they didn't check the garage, so I was able to get that the next day.
Wow.
But yeah, shout to my buddy Zach, who like got off a full day's worth of work, an 8 or 9 hour day in the oil field, and then came and moved me until 11 o'clock at night, numerous trips up and down the stairs. And then let me stay at his house because this apartment they refused to move it one day earlier for us so we could just move straight in. It was horrible. It was horrible. However, when we got here, we had the movers here. Those dudes had both U-Hauls unloaded in our apartment, like all set up with furniture and stuff in like 2 hours flat.
Wow.
So that's what I'm talking about, the difference. But yeah, that's the TLDR. Let's just say that I struggled for a good month and a half, and with everything that happened, everything along, it financially kicked me in the balls. Yeah. And I am still recovering from it. When you plan a move, you already have thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars you're hemorrhaging for all the move. And then you pack on all these fees and unknown costs and expenditures and random laborers and extra trucks. And I just still paying the bill, still paying it. It destabilizes you. So
it'll be over soon. You'll be stable.
That's why I hate change. But well, yeah. And the crappy thing is like we're rolling into Christmas. So like we're still hemorrhaging money. And then there's a family vacation that was, we had to go to that. There's reasons behind that. I had to go to that. That was expensive. And so like, I just can't get a break, but we are getting into 2023, and usually the first couple months of every year is always a little breather. Helps you get kind of smoothed out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was miserable.
I complain too. And it's definitely like, I definitely don't have that kind of issue, obviously, but,
you want to help me out, Doc, or what?
Yeah. It seems like every time I get some money,
Yeah.
there's like an immediately large bill to follow it.
Oh yeah.
Like, I just want to just get this crap paid off. So, a little bit more money can go into the bank, a little less money go immediately out to bills. So you build your bank account a little
Right.
bit. And it just
Right.
seems like every time, like, oh, we got this money.
So many
Oh,
hands.
we paid for a vacation. That's going to
Yep.
be paid off. Oh, we just got
Yep.
more money. Oh, one of the kids' college tuitions is due
Yep.
now. And it's like, it's
Right.
immediately after. It's so
Yeah.
weird. And you're like,
I mean,
you can see the carrot. It's like the carrot, right? You're like, oh, I can get out of the
yeah.
hole. Like, let me just get, and then the carrot just moved.
It's always like that. Well, and like I shot myself in the foot too, because right before we moved, so I had bought my motorcycle, and that again, guys, I budget. This is not something I just like whimsically did without verifying that I could afford what I'm doing, right? But I didn't buy that expecting for all this to happen. And additionally, like, I was going out all the night with my friends and I'm spending this money,
Right.
and $10 here and $10 there and $10 here, that stuff adds up real fucking quick. And my motorcycle does not get what you think motorcycles should get in gas mileage. That's not meant for that. It's meant for performance, and so it takes fuel, and that added up real quick, especially you're putting 93 and 100 octane fuel into the bike. And then, like, I sold my truck and I was using that to buy parts, but then, like, I was like, well, I'll put these parts on credit for now, build credit, and paid off the truck money. But then that went to bills. And then, like, when we moved here, I had, like, all of a sudden everybody needed to be paid immediately. You know what I mean? And you're like, okay, guys, you can't wring out a dry sponge, but you got to make moisture happen some way. So I feel you on that one. I feel you on that one. Kids are getting sick. It just, yeah. I definitely sat in the dark with a bottle of Jack in the corner of my office for at least an hour at some point between all of this, and just sat there and listened to silence, because sometimes that's what you got to do to manage your emotions. So, but yeah, no, it was good. Yeah, but if you got some of that doctor money laying around, you let me know. I will gladly help you put it to good
If I find any
use.
under the couch cushions, I'll send it your way.
I appreciate it. I'll send you my address, my new address. But I don't do well. I know that we're probably running out of time here, guys. We've been doing this for a while, and I know this has been a long gap between podcasts. And sincerely, from me and from Doc, I'm sorry for the time. I'm sorry the channel has been a little bit silent. We're not dead. We still have dedicated the project. Just been so much going on, and as you just heard with the move, and Doc, and Doc has had some, health issues, and he works incredible hours, and I work incredible hours, and just life in general. We apologize, but if you're here and you're a modern boomer like the rest of us, and you have the same shit that we're going through, you're walking through the same crap and hell that we're going through in your own life,
Right.
and so give us some patience, but we're working on stuff. We'll get stuff figured out, and
Join us.
hopefully it'll pick up.
Everybody loves company.
Absolutely. We can all just be hateful pessimists together, because life does that to you.
Yeah.
So, anything else from you?
No, man, I'm good. We'll get this out ASAP, and we'll start getting on with the other ones. The other quick thing is, I wanted to do something special, and we'll probably do that
That's right.
in the coming episodes. Right. I was actually hoping to get and it's still probably going to happen. I just need these guys are on the recent what, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, they were on the Game Awards, these developers. And so I won't give you any more than that, but they were, I know some people, and they're supposed to try to get them on the podcast. So hopefully we'll do a special with them, and we'll talk about the gaming industry, their new game, and the
I have so many
40
questions.
years of, or 35, 40 years of gaming.
Oh, I have so many questions.
That'll be.
I mean, a lot of my childhood was playing their games. I'm just gonna say that. And then I do want to add, guys, that I am going to try to get back to streaming a couple of games on the channel again. I know that I had started some series and things that never rolled out. A lot of that stuff that I was starting was right in the hindrance of all this beginning of the move and some crazy work stuff. So I do want to pick some of those series backs up. I would like to play some new games. Actually, I got a cool Stalker mod. Maybe we'll stream that, but I'm gonna try to find some content for us to put on the channels here and there for you guys. And then this summer, when the summer comes, I promise to bring the moto vlogs back up, because I've actually been messaged about that, believe it or not.
Have you really?
I went a little dark. Yeah, I went a little dark there with the moto vlogs, because I got the bike and I was just so enamored by it that I didn't want to talk. I just wanted to enjoy riding it. but I put almost 4,000 miles on that bike in that summer, and so now I've got out the, you know, uh, your first time. I don't say your first time, just not my first time. You get what I mean, like your first girlfriend excitement. You know,
Right.
it's not that way anymore. So this summer I'm going to try to get back and really show you some cool stuff. Now that I'm up Southwest here, Colorado, Flatirons, and in some of these cool stuff, get you guys some cool footage. So,
and I'm definitely we're working to we're going to try to come out and visit you, by the way.
oh, that'll be really exciting. I'd be really excited for that.
Yeah, we got to get that going. So we're going to be working on that too. So I was talking to my wife about that.
Come this summer.
I was like,
Come this summer. Come this summer.
Colorado.
Oh, come! I have so many cool stuff to show you guys. Some things that you'll be like, "Wow, I didn't even know this was here," and I'm like, "You're welcome. I'm the best trip advisor there is."
That's right.
So then I'm sure we'll vlog some of that too, guys. That would be definitely vlogged for sure.
Absolutely.
So,
all right, guys. So check out the website. Check out, you know, Damo's channel when he puts his moto blogs up, or sometimes they'll be up on the Modern Boomer.
Check Doc's channel.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm doing a
4090 life.
I'm doing my video with my friend. We actually recorded our building the PCs. I haven't done anything with the data yet. It's gonna be the Chad versus Brad builds. And we're gonna see if my ridiculousness and spending a shit ton of money is actually worth it. So that'll be coming up.
Hopefully,
stay tuned for that.
Hopefully, when I get out of this financial hole, I will then build a late PC in competition, an engineer's build.
Yeah.
So,
in fact, there is some sleeved, custom length power cables in my mailbox. I just gotta check that out because there's just they're so long, and they just like there's too much length, and they're like wrapped around everything in the back, just jammed in there because there's no space.
It's worth it, guys. It's worth the extra money.
It's a labor of love.
All right,
guys.
Well, guys,
till next time.
Yep.
Have a good one.